And moreover, Israel called ahead and warned all the civilians in the building, hey, you guys just get out of there. We're going to bomb the place in about an hour. And so
genocide.
Just the idea that and repeatedly over and over again, Israel, they call ahead, they warn the civilians before they launch their airstrikes. And, Netanyahu was talking about this on CBS recently, and he said, you see these high-rise towers that are used by Hamas over and over again. They collapse and no one is killed. Why does that happen? Because we, unlike Hamas, take special precautions to tell people, leave the building, leave the premises. The attacks on Israel since last Monday have been extensive. 3,000 plus rockets fired at Israel, mostly by the terrorist group Hamas.
Randomly, these are not targeted. They're just hoping to hit civilians.
Just hoping to hit some civilians, absolutely. And, this group's funded by Iran and by the Palestinian Authority and all these different groups. And, the left in America and the Democratic Party, a lot of the leaders in the Democratic Party, they all believe that, Palestinians are the victims, Hamas, they're the victims, and that Israel, they're these violent oppressors just trying to wipe out all the brown people in the Middle East, apparently, even though a lot of Jewish people in Israel are brown as well.
Yeah. Yep.
But this narrative, it's been getting
privilege. Sorry,
it's been getting so intense. Like, I've seen so much on social media, people just saying that this is a genocide, that Israel is trying to just murder off all the Palestinians, and that how dare we let them get away with this? But when you really dig into the facts of what's going on, Palestine, Hamas, they're the ones targeting civilians. They're the ones trying to eradicate an entire people. And when you look at Israel's attacks, they are actually, they care about keeping civilians safe, and they care about targeting specifically only members of Hamas. Yeah. We've seen this time and time again. The biggest story that's kind of caused the most controversy lately is the AP News building. So so Israel, they
where the AP didn't know they were sharing.
So
they didn't know Hamas was their flatmate.
Yeah. So the AP News, Al Jazeera,
great reporters there, fantastic reporters.
Yeah. So their building was destroyed by an Israeli air attack, an airstrike. And, Israel came out and they said, oh, yeah, that's because you guys were sharing a building with Hamas. They were staging all their operations out of that building. It's a completely legitimate place to attack. And moreover, Israel called ahead and warned all the civilians in the building, hey, you guys just get out of there. We're going to bomb the place in about an hour. And so
genocide.
Just the idea that and repeatedly over and over again, Israel, they call ahead, they warn the civilians before they launch their airstrikes. And, Netanyahu was talking about this on CBS recently, and he said, you see these high-rise towers that are used by Hamas over and over again. They collapse and no one is killed. Why does that happen? Because we, unlike Hamas, take special precautions to tell people, leave the building, leave the premises. We make sure that everyone is gone before we bring down those terrorist facilities. And that's the difference between Israel and Hamas. They deliberately target our cities, deliberately target our civilians. They glorify the death of children and civilians and old people. They're happy about it. I think they're happy with any deaths that are caused to them. And so what this if you see someone on social media that is saying that this is a genocide, that Israel is committing war crimes, you have no idea what you're talking about. and when coming back to Israel, I think that they have been brilliant in terms of their tactics, militaristically. Well, how do you guys feel about Israel's military strategy? And, are they needlessly putting civilians in danger?
Yeah, well, I loved I agree with you 100%. The idea that a nation state that calls ahead to let you know airstrikes are coming, the idea that those are genocidal maniacs is just absolutely outrageous. As far as their tactics go, I absolutely love them. When they came out last week and announced via Twitter that there was going to
my favorite.
Yeah, there's going to be a full-scale invasion of the Gaza Strip, and then what happens? Well, all of the Hamas terrorists go underground into their tunnels, and then what does Israel do? They airstrike the tunnels, knowing that's where they would go.
It's just another example.
Fantastic.
They got Hamas in there. They got them separated from the main population, and then took them out.